So many different times in my life, I've played with broken or hurt things, broken foot, broken leg, broken hand, broken arm, broken sternum, broken collarbone. I could keep going if I just thought more about bones. Why, man? Because I loved it. I loved playing the game. I was passionate about it. One of the reasons I even get encouraged at seeing all of you here. Do you know why I get encouraged by that? Is because you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zuttner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Terry Powell, how are you, my friend?
Clay, nice to be here. Thank you.
Hey, we are talking today about the 6 steps to find the right franchise. Now, I know that question, that idea of finding the right franchise might not even be right, but just work with me on this. We're gonna get into this, and we're gonna see your expertise. Now, I know that you've worked with thousands and thousands of business opportunities, and you've seen them all.
Yeah.
And you've worked with massive amounts of franchise options, and so you've helped people kind of coach them along the path to finding a business vehicle that can help them achieve their goals. So where does one even begin to start when it comes to looking for the right franchise? I mean, there's thousands of them out there, right?
Yeah.
Where does one even start in your mind?
Well, the beginning is to realize that it's not necessarily about finding the right franchise. One of the myths is that if I find the right franchise, I'll be successful.
Okay.
So the idea is to help them understand that we need to have a plan that brings to the surface things that are important to you. So typically someone will say, I really want something I'll know that I'll love and enjoy. So the question will be, well, all the things you love and enjoy today, did you know you would before you experienced them? Obviously the answer is no. So we're helping them understand that that right fit is outside their current perception base, and it's likely outside their blind spots.
So, okay, so maybe I'll rephrase this. This might be the 6 steps to getting to the right place in your life through owning a franchise or something like that, you know?
Sure, absolutely. The franchise is the vehicle, and there are steps that can help you get there.
Now, step number 1 is you need to ask yourself, what's the goal of buying a business, or what's the goal of investing in a franchise there? Mm-hmm. Terry, unfortunately, I often meet people who've started a business or who went out and purchased a business model without ever taking the time needed to ask themselves, like, what's the goal of even buying a business? What's the point? And why does every entrepreneur really need to take that time out and go, time out, where am I trying to get to before they buy that vehicle?
Well, it's important that you don't just jump from one thing that's become a frustration for you, let's say your job or your current career path, and you don't get to the point where you jump from one thing that you're dissatisfied with and not make a good choice about where you go. And it's really about choices. And I find that most people have made good choices in their careers and then gone to work to make those right choices, good decisions.
Okay.
It's when you get the decision before the choice that gets people sideways.
Can you maybe, and I don't mean to haggle about semantics, but when you say decision and choice, can you kind of clarify what that means to you?
Sure, absolutely. We deal a lot with individuals who are hung up on making decisions, and once you do that in an area they have no comfort or experience or knowledge in, like owning a franchise business, it really equates in their minds to making the wrong or bad decision.
So they're saying, hey, look, I'm done with the corporate man. I'm tired of working for the man, and now I want to work for myself.
Yep.
And I'm going to just make decisions, whether I know what I'm doing or not. I just want to make these decisions,
Or I'm not going to make any.
or I'm not going to
Yeah,
make it.
because I'm fearful of making the wrong one or a bad one. So they get caught up in all this overanalyzing of things that aren't important to what really are their goals, needs, and expectations. So the first step is to take them through a possibilities profile that really determines what are your goals, needs, and expectations if you were to own a franchise
wow.
business.
Now, step 2 here is you want to ask what business helps you achieve your goals. Now, this is a little bit different, but Terry, can you tell us why it's important that every potential franchise owner keeps this question in their mind as they go out there and try to find the right franchise or the right type of franchise? Why it's important for them to keep in mind this question of, what business is going to help me achieve my goals?
Well, you can get caught up on the idea of what's the right business, meaning in your mind that there's only one that's going to be the right one, which
Okay.
is not the case.
Yeah.
There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of franchise models that will accomplish your goals, needs, and expectations, and even drive your income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity. But it is important that you stay focused on making sure you validate that and you're able to discover that part of your process.
Now, let me ask you this, because I think a lot of people who watch this maybe don't. I did not grasp this until about 7 years in business, but I would like to get your commentary on this. The other day I was going to a franchise. I won't say the name of the one particularly, but I went to this franchise and I was going to mail some stuff. And I go in there and there's one person working there. And it appears as though business is slow. And I see another person who walks in. He appears to be a boss of some kind. And I said, hey, is this your business? Yeah. He says, yeah, it is. And I knew I was going to be meeting with you, so I was just curious, really trying to explore the space. I said, how long have you owned this business? He says, oh, about 2-3 years. And I said, really? Is business, you stay busy? He says, yeah, it's very, and he says, come on outside. So we start talking. Well, long story short, he's explained to me how he loves this business because he has very few customers. They're mostly corporate. They ship a ton of stuff. And so he's able to have 1 or 2 employees, no stress, no drama. His life, and he explained to me his goal was to have very little customers buy a lot of stuff, and very few employees, and he loved it. And to me, on the outside, I was thinking, man, it must be a slow business. You must not be having any success. He's kind of in an obscure shopping center, and here he was happy as can be. He had low overhead, very few customers, no employees. He thought this was the best. And I was thinking over here going, gosh, this must be a slow business. This must be, but he was loving it. And I think it's important that, I think it's amazing how he took the time out to figure out what he wanted. Very few employees, very little overhead. I just think that's amazing. I mean, do you think enough business owners do that? Take time out to figure out what they really want?
No, they don't. And that's why we talk about goals, needs, and expectations, because what he just defined to you is he established what his goals, needs, and expectations were from that business, what he wanted to have less of in his life and what he wanted to have more of in his life, and he needed a model that would reflect that. So he actually worked from that premise. Most people, goals, needs, and expectations.
Okay.
And he, what you just described, he said to you, really was a combination of some goals, needs, and expectations from what the business needed to do.
That is so awesome.
Even to the fact where one of the goals was not many customers.
Yeah, I was totally shocked. I remember I was telling my wife, and I was like, this guy has almost no customers. I'm thinking he must be struggling. He's like, no, I have corporate accounts. It's recurring revenue, very few customers. I'm thinking, that's awesome, because he knew so well what he wanted. Now, Terry, step 3 is find the right type of business to match your management personality and skills type, not your personal interests. Now, this is a little bit mind-boggling for me, because I feel like a lot of people say, well, I'm going to buy the golf shop because I love golf. Or I'm going to buy, there's a business model out there I'm aware of where they basically teach personal training. Because I love working out, I'm going to teach personal training, that kind of thing. And I'm seeing a lot of the most successful franchise owners have bought them because they say, well, this is, my skills, I'm pretty good at management, and therefore I bought this kind of business because it requires management. Or, this particular, it seems like people are matching it more so for their skills and their personality type than their actual hobbies. Or how do you find that balance? How are you supposed to do this?
Well, it's difficult to have something you enjoy as a hobby, which is really a deflection away from what you do as a living. And that's why you enjoy the hobby. You need those to do something different in your life. You need that dichotomy of leaving your job and going golfing, or having your hobby. So when you want to go into your own business, you don't want to try to combine those two.
Really?
So I love golf, so why don't I just go own a golf shop? Well, you won't get to play golf anymore because you'll be tired of it by then and you'll want to have something else.
So you believe that you should not focus on turning your passion into a profit center in your mind because you want to have those diversions?
Not necessarily in a franchise system.
Okay.
Because you don't need to have that experience or that passion or that knowledge to succeed in a franchise.
Now, what percentage of franchise owners buy a franchise in which they have no experience, no previous knowledge? Is it most of them, half of them?
Well, in our particular coaching model, our experience over 30 years is that 95% of our clients end up in a franchise that they admittedly would have not even looked at on their own.
So let's
So it's
say
a pretty
this.
high percentage.
So the guy in under your model who buys a franchise for pizza, a pizza franchise of some kind, he may not even like pizza. He may not have any experience with pizza making, and he just thought it made sense financially.
One of the challenges of following some of those what we call passions, or a lot of times it's comfort level, is that you really end up becoming the technician in that business rather than being the owner that manages, markets, and promotes a successful business model that translates into income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity.
There is a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber where he really talks about the rut of a technician.
Yeah.
And then there's the business owner. And basically the technician, for those of you who haven't seen this before, the technician is somebody who has an unbelievable knowledge of, let's say, making pizza. They make pizza. It's their family tradition. They love pizza. They eat pizza all the time. They know good pizza. And that's great. But if you get stuck, if you're not careful, you're going to be spending all your time making pizza. If you buy a pizza business, you might just focus all your energy there and your time, and that's all you do is. Where as a business owner says, you know what, I'm not going to spend all my time necessarily making pizzas, but I'm going to make a pizza making business where I have hundreds of people that make pizzas as part of my team or that kind of thing. And so you're saying don't get stuck making the pizzas.
And one step further, the franchisors aren't going to recruit a franchisee who is a baker and wants to bake into a Dunkin' Donuts.
Really?
Nor are they going to recruit a mechanic that likes to fix automatic transmissions into an AMCO transmission franchise, because they know they will not grow the business. They'll just become a technician.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's shocking to me. Bam! That's awesome. Okay, so step 4, working with franchise coaches. Terry, would you consider yourself to be a franchise coach or kind of a franchise Yoda? What would you consider yourself to be there?
Well, our whole model, the Entrepreneur Source model, is based on a coaching methodology that's been devised over 30 years, where we've created a science out of understanding how to help people see the possibilities beyond their blind spots as it relates to using that business as a vehicle and going from employment to empowerment.
So if I'm the average, let's just say I'm a third grader watching this. For some reason, I've hacked into my parents' account and I'm watching this, and I'm kind of thinking at a third grade level. That's how I tend to think there. Can you describe for me in your mind in a nutshell then, what does a coach exactly do? They help you kind of understand the business model, or what exactly?
Actually, a coach is someone that helps you facilitate making sure that you're preparing your journey of discovery and education in a way that doesn't allow you to make prejudgments, doesn't allow you to quickly make decisions, and really looks at it from a standpoint, let's talk about what it needs to look like from a why standpoint for what your goals, needs, and expectations are.
Okay.
And how we apply those to using the business as a vehicle.
How does a franchise coach different from maybe what people might consider as like a broker or somebody who, and I'll give you an example. If you're watching this and you maybe don't know, let's say that I own a bunch of franchises, and Terry connects people who people like me who own franchises to franchisors who sell franchises. And then the typical, in a broker scenario, someone makes a commission to do that. How is how is it different what you do as a coach than what just a traditional broker does, who just goes out and sort of bridges the gap between the franchisor and the franchisee?
Great question. That's how I actually discovered the niche in the market that needed the coaching, was being in a broker situation. Big difference is that brokers are looking for the 5% that are ready, willing, and able, that are going to jump and do something and likely buy themselves a job, and they want to be part of getting in the middle of that so they can earn a commission.
Okay.
What drove me to discover the Entrepreneur Source niche was my dissatisfaction with the lack of value that created for the relationship.
Okay.
And I started exploring all the people that we qualified out as brokers, other than the 5%, and found that there was a need there for someone to educate, inform, create experiences in a safe space for what we call seekers, people seeking information, so they could learn about what it's like in the life of a franchise.
Okay. Okay. So coaches are more interested in helping somebody develop the seeker mentality where they're looking for something, and a coach kind of helps mentor and coach these people, more so than a broker who's just trying to close the deal with the person who wants to buy right now.
Yeah. For example, in a broker situation, I'll ask you, what kinds of businesses have you been looking at, or what do you think would be interesting to you? And that's exactly where they're going to take you.
Okay.
In our situation, 95% of the time, we're going to create an opportunity for you to shift your paradigm on how to use that business and end up in something you would have admittedly not looked at.
So the benefit, really, in your mind, of working with a coach would be that you have somebody that helps you kind of find the right system for you?
The end result is that they'll discover that the business model is just the vehicle.
Okay.
And they'll have enough discovery and education about the lives of people who are living in those franchises today, the lifestyle of that, that'll allow them to make the bridge to leaving employment to embrace the empowerment. So it's about putting together a possibilities profile and really personalizing that possibilities profile to that particular client's goals, needs, and expectations, and also their financial capabilities and all the elements that'll come together.
I feel like in any industry, there's great coaches, there's bad coaches. We don't want to talk anything disparaging about a specific person or entity, but I want to make sure people watching this are very cognitively aware of the potential threats that are out there and the good and the bad, that kind of thing. If I'm looking for a coach, what's the best way to find one, or what are some things I should be looking for in a coach to make sure they really do have my best interests at heart?
Well, the fact that they're actually coaching you,
okay,
and they're not calling themselves a coach and actually are looking to be an expert and make decisions for you, or feel that they have to answer all your questions.
Okay.
A coach isn't going to be an expert. Although they have the answers, they're not going to give them to you, because part of coaching is for you to develop your own questions and accomplish answering those questions as part of the process.
Okay.
Where a consultant or a broker, or even a coach that calls themselves a coach that's not really a coach, will jump right into looking at business models right away. They're not going to take you through a discovery process, and they're going to be looking to answer your questions for you rather than allowing you to experience it. They're going to want to control the atmosphere more.
Now, if I move into step 5 here, attending these franchise trade shows, I know that there's more and more reduction in the number of shows. Every year it seems like there's, within today's age with the internet, there's less and less shows out there. But what is the real value of attending a franchise trade show in your mind? If I actually go to one, what's the value?
Well, you kind of have to think about going to a smorgasbord. And the great thing about a smorgasbord is all kinds of things to choose from, and I love smorgasbords.
Okay.
But you go there and you get to walk around, and it's a relatively safe space.
Okay.
Because they're not going to get too aggressive with you from a standpoint of selling you on something in that kind of an environment, because there's a lot of people walking by. So you can pick up information, you can chat with people, you can listen to a brief presentation, and you can gather a bag full of things and go home and become a more knowledgeable about some of the information.
What are some of the great things that business owners can really learn from a franchise trade show? Is it just kind of a broad picture of all the different options that are out there, or can you learn, oh boy, I don't want to buy that one? Or what can you learn from a franchise trade show?
Well, it depends on the individual, but a lot of things will come out of it. We find that most times people end up getting to the end of going through the rows and are more confused and frustrated than they were when they came in.
Okay.
Because they didn't realize there were so many different things. And the way they're being sold to them in that environment, that business model is the best thing since sliced bread, can really confuse and cause them more frustration about what's right for me.
You know of the shows that are good, or you know the ones that are the big ones, the ones that people know are kind of the well-known. But if I'm watching this, I might have no idea what are some good ones. So I might find myself going to some weird pyramid scheme that's not a franchise show at all, that kind of thing.
Sure.
What are the biggest ones, or what are maybe a couple trade shows that you might recommend? If I'm just determined that I'm going to go to a franchise show, I want to go to a trade show, I really want to be there, what are a couple you might recommend for me?
First of all, I would say that there's not any that I wouldn't say that there's some value could come out of it, just the idea of perusing it. But the International Franchise Association, in conjunction with one of the largest show promoters in the country, put on 4 or 5 of these around the country. So when you see the IFA associated with it, you know that that's really the premier you're going to have the best franchisors there. A lot of them are going to be members of the IFA. And the IFA is going to be there for information and education purposes. There's going to be a lot of content. Most of it's going to be free in the way of workshops and seminars and things of that nature.
So the IFA, you might want to just look for that IFA endorsement or the IFA involvement, which stands for the International Franchising.
International Franchise Association.
International Franchise Association. Just look for that, and that'll let you know whether, at least, there's not to say there's not other good shows, but that's really the ones that we would recommend then, right?
And today we found that more people want to have a self-directed approach where they don't necessarily physically go or travel to a show like an IFA. So we've created a Start a Business Weekend virtual expo where it actually has all the same look and feel of being in an expo, walking around, but you're doing it from the comfort of your own home or office computer.
Where can I go to see these things?
Startabusinessweekend.com.
Startabusinessweekend.com. And if that's something where you're saying, I don't want to travel so much, I still want to learn though, I want to see a lot of different franchises, but I'm not necessarily wanting to hop into a vehicle and go somewhere, book the hotel, that whole thing. You're saying, again, that website is?
Startabusinessweekend.com.
Startabusinessweekend.com. All right. And now we're moving on to step 6, and this is kind of a good segue into step 6 here. This is the online search. Terry, you just mentioned that, and I feel like the internet, though, has become so big. I mean, I remember back when I was in high school, we were playing Oregon Trail, that ridiculous video game where, and it was very simple, and then when your computer would make that sound, when you went on the internet, it was, and it would just take forever to load. You had the modem and all that. Well, now we're high-speed internet. I mean, the internet, so it's fast. And the great thing about it is you can have information quickly. But there's also like misinformation quickly. I mean, there is all sorts of bogus stuff out there. And so I think people get scared. They kind of get to a point where they say, I've read everything on the internet I could possibly find about franchising, and therefore I now know nothing. Where you just can take too much in. Where should I start if I'm wanting to use the internet to find the right franchise for me?
Well, one of the things that's interesting is in this, what we call a new breed of franchise candidate, is they want more of a self-directed approach.
Okay.
So they don't want to have someone controlling how they receive information. So online is a great way to do that.
Yeah.
And the latest statistics point out that about 72% of all purchases today and investments, the choice is made on the internet before they contact the company.
Really?
About 72%. So it's huge. And they're about 70 to 80% of the people we work with have done some sort of research on the internet.
Okay.
So there's a lot of places you can go. There's a lot of portals that just have a directory of franchises that you can sort by category, by investment ranges. And then we have one that's more of a self-directed approach that it combines some coaching. It's called franchisematch.com.
Okay, franchisematch.com.
Franchisematch.com.
And that kind of helps you explore yourself a little bit, figure out what you want, and then help match you up with the right franchise?
Yeah, it takes you through some steps, you answer some questions and some ideas about what your interest levels are, and it creates an environment where it brings 3 opportunities to the surface, but it also connects you with a coach to help you at no cost to you in order to be able to kind of decide.
When it comes to buying the right franchise, Is there really such thing then as the perfect franchise, or am I just chasing a kind of a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, my friend? I mean, what am I ultimately looking for here?
Well, it's not a needle in a haystack process, and that's what most people believe it is. They really believe if I find this needle in a haystack, this perfect business, this only one that's going to make me successful, then I'll be okay. But it couldn't be any further from the truth.
So there might be hundreds of options. I mean, out of thousands and thousands of franchises, there might be 50 or 100 that would work well for me. And it might be this one or that one, but as long as it's a business model, a business vehicle that helps me get there, it's one of the right ones.
Yeah. And when we ask clients all the time about, well, I don't like this, I don't like that, why'd you show me this? And we'll say, well, tell me, how are you going to know when you get in front of the right opportunity? And the most common answer is, I'll know it when I see it, which is a little scary. It's kind of like falling in love. They think that, the fireworks are going to go off and they're going to have this emotional connection and they'll just know it.
Maybe they're trying to fall in love while looking for a franchise. That's sort of
Could
all right.
be.
Well, Terry, I greatly appreciate you in investing time and helping the Thrivers all over this planet and potentially other planets too. I don't know if they have the internet over there, but I appreciate you taking the time to really teach us kind of how to find the right business model and the right business vehicle to get where we want to go. It means the world to the Thrivers and to me. So thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've gone through the 4 steps of validating your business idea, and I want to make sure that we review it so that myself and John and all of the other Thrivers make sure that they're getting it. Okay, so step number 1, define your ideal and likely buyers. Clay, do you have any closing thoughts for this?
No, but just don't get excited about your idea until you've talked to ideal and likely buyers who have validated it or have told you how to make it better. Don't commit to something that no one wants. And I'm just telling you, I have done that before. I literally bought chocolate fountains at the right time in American history where people wanted them. But over time, people discovered, have you seen how much grease is in that chocolate? I mean, to make it flow, you're talking about you're pouring in huge amounts of Crisco into the chocolate to make it. I mean, and over time, people start to say, that's weird. I mean, I'm just telling you, the internet transparency, people would write online going, chocolate fountains are like, it's gross watching them. So I bought it at the peak and I'm renting those every weekend. And then over time, nobody wanted it anymore. So I was able to sell it before people, didn't want it at all. But what if I would have bought chocolate fountains right now? I mean, right now, have you been to a wedding where you've seen one in a while?
No.
You remember how they were the thing though for a while?
Yes.
Now people are like, I don't know about them. I don't know. Some guy owns a chocolate fountain company right now, and he's upset with us. But literally, I had a company called the Chocolate Elegance. You can probably go back to the Wayback Machine and see it. But Chocolate Elegance was the company. You do not want to get into that industry right now. So you just got to make sure that you're making sure that you're not picking the wrong product to market.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Step number 2, find best practice GOATs in your industry. Clay?
Somebody's already done it before, and I just think it's so important that you get into this mindset that somebody's already done it. Somebody has already been there. And I'm going to give you a notable quotable here from Brian Tracy, best-selling author. Love this quote. He says, "No one lives long enough to learn everything they need to learn starting from scratch. To be successful, we absolutely, positively have to find people who have already paid the price to learn the things that we need to learn to achieve our goals." Massive. So just do what Brian says. Don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Okay. Step number 3, the rule of 50. Explain the problem you solve to 50 people and track how they respond.
Yeah, and I kind of want to just put a little caveat there. Explain the problem you solve to 50 ideal and likely buyers and track how they respond. Very, very important that you're not... My mom and I, we have just a funny relationship, but my mom just doesn't understand what would make a man want to go to work at 3 a.m. It just doesn't get it. And it's okay. But literally my mom, she cares about me, but has no idea of why. So she's always like, honey, I'm going to come by during the day tomorrow. I'll come by the office and I'm going to bring you food. When she first moved here, I'll bring you guys some food. And I'm like, Mom, I haven't eaten at work in 15 years. And the thought of me going on lunch break at work would be no. It'd be like a football player taking a nap in the middle of the game. I mean, I know this is my game. This is, and so my mom had to learn over time, even though you're my son, I don't get you. So I'm going to do things that you would want. So now my mom's like, hey, honey, I got you this Thomas Edison book. And I'm going, yes! You know what I mean? So it's just that's how it works.
Exactly.
Step number 4, create online ads targeted at your ideal and likely buyers and track the results.
Well, it's just a situation where if you want to create the ads, some people go, I don't want to launch the ads until it's done. Well, perfect is the enemy of done. Okay. Perfect is the enemy of done. The word of entrepreneurship, you have to do what Reid Hoffman says. You define your idea. You have to act. It's crazy. Define, act. It's like ready, fire. Instead of ready, aim, fire, it's define, act. Step 3, you measure it. Step 4, you refine it. So again, I'll do it again. You define step 1. Step 2, before you're perfect, you need to act. Point 2. 3, you need to measure it. You need to, how do we do here? 4, you refine it. And people who are entrepreneurs are used to that loop. I call it the feedback loop. People who are not entrepreneurs are used to, I shouldn't take the test until I know I'll get an A. Well, that's academia. But in the world of entrepreneurship, you have to move. You got to eventually move. That's why things get done in the private sector faster, typically, because they're just going, and they'll make changes along the way. Right. And that's just how it works.
Okay.
So that does it for validating your business idea. I appreciate both of you guys joining me today, or maybe I'm joining you guys. I still haven't figured that out, but thank you, Clay.
Yeah, and I wanted to tell you, in our next training we're going to have here, I'm going to give you a dating tip that potentially could change your wife. JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. During the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, 2024, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. Yes, folks, put it in your calendar. This December, the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business growth workshop. Whoa. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow is going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to learn branding, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn search engine optimization, you want to learn social media marketing, that's what we teach at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. If you want to learn accounting, you want to learn sales systems, you want to learn how to build a linear workflow, you want to learn how to franchise your business, that is what we teach at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop. Over the years, we've had the opportunity to feature Michael Levine, the PR consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for Michael Jackson. We've had the top PR consultant in the history of the planet has spoken at the Thrivetime Show workshops. We've had Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, a company that creates apparel worn by celebrities all throughout the world. Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, has spoken at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshops. We have the man who's responsible for turning around Harley Davidson, a man by the name of Ken Schmidt. He has spoken at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops. Folks, I'm telling you, these events are going to teach you what you need to know to start and grow a successful business. And the way we price the events, the way we do these events, is you can pay $250 for a ticket or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, we've designed these events to be affordable for you, and we want to see you live and in person at the 2-day interactive December 5th and 6th Thrivetime Show Business Workshop. Everything that you need to succeed will be taught at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Workshop, December 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the way we do these events is we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a question and answer session so that wonderful people like you can have your questions answered. Yes, we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a 15-minute question and answer session. It's interactive. It's 2 days. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been doing these events since 2005, and I'm telling you, folks, it's going to blow your mind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop is America's highest rated and most reviewed business workshop. See the thousands of video testimonials from real people just like you
who've been able to build multi-million-dollar companies. Watch those testimonials today at thrivetimeshow.com simply by clicking on the testimonials button right there at thrivetimeshow.com. You're going to see thousands of people just like you who've been able to go from just surviving to thriving. Whoa. Each and every day, we're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup, but I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button, and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company. Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And someone says, Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrivetime Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. Who? You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot-coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you. And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done his show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what you're saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say.
First of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And I said, no. And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed to the business owner to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say. Whoa.